Live now. Awesome. All right, we have looked like there were around 5 people waiting. Um, Hi everyone. Just double check here that we are indeed live. Yep. We have about 9 people watching right now. And yeah, I'd love to. I'm Katherine. I work as a product manager at Kapwing and lead our AI dubbing efforts. It looks like we might have one small audio issue on your volume. Let me let me double check that. Um, Lauren, thanks for letting us know. Um, let's see. Let me just try to adjust volume here to make sure that's fixed. Julia, can you try talking again? You, let's see. Let's see. Okay. We're still testing out Julia's audio. We'll get this fixed in a second. Okay. Um, let's see. All right. I am just going in. Let's see. All right, Julia, I think
Yes.
if you
Is
try
it better
again,
now? Yes, here is my voice, hopefully coming through on YouTube.
let's see. I can hear you, so
Hello, can
let's
you hear
see
me? Can you hear
if
me
our
okay?
viewers can.
Let's see, can people let us know in the chat if they can hear us here?
Yeah, it sounds like that was successful, so yes.
Okay,
Awesome.
awesome. Um, well, yeah, like I said, I'm really excited to get to kick off this session about AI dubbing and, yeah, introduce more about the technology, the state of it today, and where we expect it to go over the next few years also. AI dubbing has really only become possible in the last year or two with advancements in LLMs and text to speech and voice cloning. So it's a really new technology and excited to get to share how we have built out our AI dubbing pipeline here at Kapwing and also talk some about the limitations and where we think the technology will go next. Yeah, Catherine, anything else you want to say sort of as an introduction on the topic?
Yeah, I think today in this session, we're also going to dive into a lot of the like challenges that come with dubbing and challenges that we face too as a company building an AI dubbing product. And so I'm excited to kind of talk through those with you, Julia, and also hear from anyone who's viewing about your experience with dubbing and sort of the challenges you've faced, and also what everyone is using for dubbing and how it has enabled your growth and business. So that's sort of all I'll add, but yeah, excited to get into it.
Yeah, and yeah, definitely let us know in the chat if you have questions or if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself or share your interest in dubbing or why you're here. We want this also to be interactive with people who are watching. So Yeah, thanks for joining. And with that, I guess I'll go ahead and share this presentation that we put together on this topic about sort of AI dubbing in media and um, where this technology is going.
Awesome.
So, I want to start off just quickly by introducing Kapwing as a company. So, we started Kapwing uh, like I mentioned, I'm the co-founder and CEO of this company, Kapwing. Kapwing is a collaborative video editor, so it's kind of like Google Docs, but for video creation. We started in 2018, and we have more than 25 million registered creators on the platform, tens of thousands of customers. Our mission is to empower creators, and our business is to help creative teams to integrate AI into their post-production workflows. So we think a lot about, how do we help media teams and customers respond to these new technologies and get the most out of them. Today, we'll be talking about one of those workflows, which is video translation. And I wanted to start off this topic by just sharing a little about the subject of this talk, which is a story about how I even got into this space originally. So back in February of 2022, I woke up to this video that is on the screen here, which was going viral across the internet. Basically, in it, President Zelensky of the Ukraine is speaking Russian and addressing the Russian people, and his video has English subtitles on it. You can see it also has a Kapwing logo on it because the subtitles were added with Kapwing. So yeah, this was a powerful moment for me because it really hit home how videos can be used to create peace in the world and enable people to share videos across borders. And I think that's just never been more important in today's world, being able to create mutual understanding across borders and share a message directly with an audience. So yeah, this was kind of a first step that led us towards solving the problem of AI dubbing overall, and just wanted to share that story as motivation for this topic. So with that, I guess we'll show an example here of what dubbing actually looks like, because here Zelensky was not dubbing the video, he was just adding translated subtitles. Maybe, Catherine, you can kick that off by showing an example here.
Yeah, awesome. I think we have one in this slide. This is one that Julia made, dubbed into multiple different languages. This is dubbed on Kapwing. And yeah, I think it demonstrates the power of dubbing and is sort of just an example video, but shows kind of what the tool does to translate video from one language into other languages. Okay, it sounds
Sweet. Okay.
like
People couldn't hear it. Oh, sad. Maybe,
we can share out an example later. Yeah,
yeah.
let's see.
Can y'all hear it now? Can you hear it, Catherine?
I can hear the video.
Me speaking Arabic. Huh. Well, yeah, so that's too bad that the video can't be heard playing. I wonder if it's because I muted myself. But hopefully these animated subtitles can still give a sense of what's happening in each of these, which is that, the video, my voice is being cloned in each of these videos, and um, uh, it sounds like I'm speaking that other language, even though in reality I only speak English. I don't speak French or any of these other languages. It is overlaying a synthetic text-to-speech layer on top of the video to translate the video's audio from one language into another. And I also, yeah, see in the chat here that we have someone who's been a customer for years. Yeah, thanks so much for tuning in and yeah, sharing your experience with Kapwing. It's awesome to hear. Okay, well, let's see here. Um, oops. So yeah, in this talk, we wanted to describe a little bit about how our AI dubbing stack works. We want to do a demo of dubbing on Kapwing, and we also wanted to show some of the how good, like we want to answer the question, how good is dubbing today? And what is it not good at? Or what are some of the limitations of AI dubbing? We also wanted to share out the some of the best dubbing vendors and some sort of practical tips for implementation and talk about the future of AI dubbing. So that's generally what we're going to cover today. Um, yeah, anything there, Catherine, you want to add on, what we're going to cover today or what we should discuss?
Yeah. Yeah, this is really meant to be a discussion, and we have some examples, but the bulk and most important part of this conversation is just talking through some of these technological challenges. So we'll definitely be able to do that, and hopefully everyone can come out of this talk with a better sense of how dubbing works, kind of what options there are out there, what you could use this for sort of in your life and professional workflow, and then kind of looking forward to the future, what's ahead. So, yeah, and feel free to add any questions. As Julia mentioned, this is going to be a very interactive session, so we would love to interact with everyone and include the viewers in the conversation as well.
Cool. So, Catherine, do you want to kick us off by talking some about how our dubbing stack works today? How dubbing
Yeah.
works generally?
Yeah. So on Kapwing and sort of generally, dubbing starts with a video or audio source that contains speech. So the first step of dubbing a video is to transcribe that video or audio source. And what that means is that we use sort of a software to uh, transcribe the words in the original video, the words that are spoken, as well as the timing that those words are spoken in. And then after we have a transcription, that's when we can translate that transcription into the target language or target languages. Our software supports dubbing into one language or multiple. And so we will translate the video with a vendor. Right now, we're using an LLM to translate our dubbed videos, and we try to fit the translation to the original video in terms of the sentiment as well as the timing, which we'll talk about a bit later. And then after the video is translated, we will send that translation to generate text to speech. So that is how videos can have a voiceover that's overlaid that is in a different language than the original video. So that is kind of the those first steps there. And so those are really the building blocks of dubbing, but dubbing takes a lot of different adjustments to make the video sound natural. And so one of those adjustments is around timing. We again we'll get into this, but a big challenge with dubbing is that when you translate into a different language, there's always going to be a difference in the cadence that the words are spoken, as well as the syllable count. And so sort of what our software does and what is a standard right now in dubbing technology is to try to fit the translation to the transcription. And LLMs really make that possible because you can prompt for the translation to be in a specific length, in a specific tone. And so step two is sort of refining the translation, and then we can have a more natural voiceover when that's translated into text to speech. We also have found ways to make the voiceover to sound more natural by modifying the video. So what that means is if we find a segment that the translation is uh, let's say 5 seconds longer than the original, instead of just speeding up that translation to fit into the original timing of the transcription, we can also work around with the video asset to maybe slow that down a bit or speed that up if necessary to be able to balance out sort of how much we're adjusting the text to speech layer so that it all sounds and looks natural. And then finally, so after step two, I would say the video will be outputted and what's done on sort of our end is finished. And the user will be able to preview that dubbed video and manually edit the voiceover, anything about the video. Kapwing is a full video editor, and that's sort of how we started. So the sort of user would be able to leverage those video editing tools to make tweaks to the translation, to the audio layer that we add on top, or to their original video layer if they need to trim anything out or change timing around.
Yeah, and I'll also mention here that, Kapwing is fully collaborative, which makes this is really handy for this stage because you can send the video to someone who's a native speaker in that other language. Colleagues can work together, even from different places on different computers, but work on the same version of the project. Um, Teams can make comments, they can make tweaks, edit the pronunciation, the inflection of words, the translation. I also want to mention that Kapwing does learn from your changes as you go. So, you can save changes that you've made consistently to like specific proper nouns or the way you want things translated in a glossary so that your future dubs benefit from those changes and translate more accurately. And yeah, we think of, AI in a sense as really a collaborative assistant. Like it's not going to get you to be 100% correct, but it can, with a person on the other end, really help you get from like whatever, 70% correct to 100% correct. And yeah, I think this is really important to our thesis overall with AI at Kapwing. And yeah, I guess yeah, do you want to jump in, Catherine, on here on step four?
Yeah, so step four, once the video is ready, so once you have completed the dub, you've reviewed it and edited it, step four is exporting the project. And so after it's finished, you can get a file for that project. And then once you have your file, you will be able to post it sort of to whatever platform, maybe share it with your team. Where Kapwing is fully collaborative, so that allows for different sharing capabilities. And if you have a customer that you need to send it to, that's pretty easy after exporting the project, but that would be the final step here.
Awesome. So yeah, at a high level, this is how dubbing works. Let us know if you have any questions about it in the comments too. We can also answer anything more specific as we kind of dig in a little more here. Um, okay, well, yeah, I guess I can kick this slide off, Catherine, if it makes sense. But
Sure.
there's this question of like how good is AI dubbing today? How high quality is the automated process? And I would say we have a pretty specific answer to this because every week or every other week we do evaluations with a panel of outside evaluators on a random set of videos for 14 different language pairings or 19 different language pairings. You probably know, Catherine.
Yeah, it's
19, I think.
14. You got it. Yeah.
Okay, 14, 14. Um, and yeah, we look at what is the quality of those videos across four different dimensions. And that gives us this score of 7 out of 10. So the automated process today, I think, our most recent score might even be 7.2 out of 10. So it
Hmm.
is not perfect, certainly. But this gives you a sense of just like how close to, perfect or how close to realistic is the AI dubbing technology going to get you today. It's really more of a starting place.
Yeah. Um, yeah, we worked hard to develop sort of a quality test around dubbing, and I think that this is sort of a good view of where we're at and sort of where other companies are at as well with this technology. And I am really optimistic that it will continue to keep getting better and we can get to that kind of 90 plus percent um, on the first generation.
Awesome. Um, okay, so now we want to talk about some of the challenges of dubbing and some of
Hmm.
the things that are difficult. Um, yeah, let's talk about some of the things I guess that block us from getting from 7 to 10, basically like from where we are today to sort of 10 out of 10. Um,
Yeah.
and Catherine, yeah, I'll go ahead and hand this to you to kick off and describe.
Okay, sounds good. I found a setting, an audio setting, so maybe we can try this video one more time, and then if the audio doesn't work,
Okay.
we'll sort of just chat about it. But if people in the chat could let us know if it's working, please do. I just changed one of our settings.
Oops. Okay, well, before that, I guess before I play it, I'm not sure if the sound is working, but I just want to describe this challenge, which is when phrases sound unnatural because they're too fast or too slow. So this is an example from Macron, the French president, dubbed from French to English. The original video is in French, and now this video is in English. And you can hear that the English sounds unnaturally fast. So I'll go ahead and play it. Yeah, I don't know how successful that was. Let's see in the chat here if it was.
Yeah. I guess while we're waiting on some responses to that, I can hop in here and as I mentioned before, the this is a challenge of dubbing because different languages have varying syllable lengths, and so it makes the sort of matching up the timing of the speech difficult. But I think it's, a fun challenge and it's kind of like a puzzle if you think about it that way. But if you think about different languages like Portuguese or Spanish or German, that will be sort of more verbose than English, which causes that misalignment. And so we are definitely working. Okay, it seems like the sound isn't working. All right. Well, we'll keep talking about the problem, and I'll see if we can and fix it more. But yeah, this example that Julia is showing really illuminates the challenge with just a few words, and you can see translated from English, this phrase in Japanese is much longer. And so there are, a lot of different and exciting solutions that we can try to address this issue. Um, I guess I would first start off by saying the sort of manual solution and something we can help automatically is fitting the translation uh, closer to the original. And so that might mean rewording the translation in a different way. We can also work on adjusting the audio layer so that it better fits in the original time slot. So that can mean changing the playback speed, so making it slower or faster. And then, as I mentioned before, there are ways to also work with the video layer as well to either slow that down a bit or speed it up so that we can get the speech to sound as natural as possible. And then finally, we have this lip sync technology that allows us to impose sort of lips on a speaker's mouth to make it seem or to make it look like they are saying the translation. And sometimes that can actually help with timing because in parts where the speaker may not be speaking on the video, if the translation is longer, you can make it look like the speaker is speaking in that empty space with lip sync. So those are just a few solutions there. And again, I think it's one of the biggest problems of AI dubbing that all of these tools are dealing with. So I'm excited to work more on this problem and see what solutions come out of it as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that I like this example of the high team, and then, being translated into a much longer, like an 8 syllable phrase in Japanese, because it's not just the words that are different or the number of syllables, it's also like the inflection and how you would say this phrase in Japanese is more, in English, you might say this in a really upbeat and direct tone, whereas in Japanese, it might be more deferential and polite. So, I think that there's a challenge to figure out how do we apply the right modification to the translation and also, make more space for longer words by slowing down the video, like you said, or by making other translations shorter so that we can take up more space with, for these chunks. Um, so yeah, this is kind of the essential problem of AI dubbing. And then, after the fact, like you said, there also will be some manual tweaks needed. So we expect that users will have to go in and sometimes manually slow down a certain chunk or speed up a chunk so that it sounds more natural after the dub has been processed. Okay,
Yeah,
so
and
now
then
on to the second problem. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I was just thinking we'll have to do another one of these, and so we can share all of the examples here. But these are all challenges that we can easily talk through. The second challenge that we're talking about is the challenge of matching text to speech to real human emotion that is variable during video or audio asset. So this example is actually one I took of myself speaking with different emotion throughout a small clip. Um, so that's the example. But in the example, I'm showing that I when I sort of move my emotion around throughout the video, that is not captured in the text to speech. Now, I will say I have been really impressed by all of these text to speech tools that have come out. I think that they sound scarily natural in most cases, but it still is a challenge to be able to match the very specific intonation and emotion of a human speaker in a video. And so I
Yeah.
think that, yeah, go ahead, Julia.
I was just gonna say, I mean, I think that like why is that? Like why is the voice clone bad at capturing that variance like in emotional intonation?
Yeah. So I think right now, I would say for our technology, we have one voice clone per speaker. And so that will be trained on the material of the entire video. And so basically, what that will do is it creates kind of a one note uh, voice clone. And so if you have emotional changes throughout a video, I feel like we would see this mostly a in an advertisement or maybe in a television show or movie clip. That emotion will be taken into account when we're training the voice clone, but we there won't be sort of a specific change in the voice when there is one in the original video. And I think that that is something that different text-to-speech providers are working on. For example, I know that 11 Labs has been working on different ways to match the intonation of a speaker at a very specific point. But right now, where the technology is, the voice clone sometimes isn't quite right in matching the emotion of a longer sort of emotional piece. That's what I would say.
Cool. Yeah. I
Um,
mean, I think that we also see, I think our technology is we have lots of ideas about how we can make this better too, like by making multiple different voice clones, by playing around with how we're using 11 Labs. I think their newest model will have more emotional controls. Inside of Kapwing, you can also manually change the inflection of certain words using kind of inflection prompting and punctuation. And
mhm.
yeah, there's also the pronunciation guide can also be helpful in making sure that certain words are pronounced in certain ways. And um, you can change the pronunciation of a specific word in in sort of like a high emotional context or a low emotional context without blanket translating that word across all of them. But yeah, I think that there's probably even more we are thinking about here around in the vein of like recording a voice, a recording like a segment that then you can use voice to voice to impose that segment into the video when needed, and also just having like more manual tweaking and changes over the pronunciation of certain chunks to match the original.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, anything else to add, I guess, on this problem space or how we can improve dubbing with regards to emotional expression?
Yeah, I think you pretty much summed it up. I'm personally excited to see where more of this prompting goes, whether that is with this maybe voice to voice input that you mentioned or through text prompting. I think right now there's a lot of room for growth there, and so I think that's something that I have my eye on. But yeah, I think you covered some really good tactics around sort of editing the voiceover right now.
Cool. Okay, so let's move on to the last, or I guess this is the third topic of four that we have. Um,
Hmm.
but this is about translation accuracy and mistranslations. Um, yeah, do you want to describe this problem, Catherine?
Yeah, I'd love to. Um, so I think that this problem is really around the the fact that sometimes direct translations lead to a loss of context. And so, one example that comes to mind for me after running through a ton of these dubbing tests is around idioms. It's really hard for even LLMs to sometimes translate an idiom into a different language. It's often translated literally, which sometimes can result in an odd translation. For example, if I were to include the phrase "It's raining cats and dogs" in a video and have that translated, it often will sound pretty odd in a different language when I'm trying to say, it's raining a lot. And so, yeah, the example that we have here is just showing an instance of that where the direct translation is pretty off in the translated language. We also see this with technical terms. A lot of people are dubbing videos in order to create training content for customers. I see that we have one of our customers in the chat range, Meet Academy, and for in that example, if you are translating specific butcher or meat terms, sometimes that will be off in the translation, and that's something that you have to go in and correct in order for it to sound natural. We also see this with brand terms. For example, Kapwing can even sometimes get mistranslated. But we have a lot of cool tools around fixing these issues in the product. The most basic one is just editing the translation. We came out recently with a an interface where the user can see the original transcript alongside the translation, which is often really helpful in being able to spot different mistranslations. We also have a translation glossary so that the user could add in a term that they always want translated a specific way and not have to go through and manually correct that every time they dub a video. But yeah, I think that there will be some, growth in how LLMs translate. The like machine translation and sort of automatic translation technology has already come so far in just even the past 5 years. So I think that, we will get to a place where automatically it sounds a lot better. But for now, we're working at Kapwing to build tools to, make the translation better on the first run and also empower users to be able to correct translations when they sound off.
Yeah, this example, which I can't play sound on, but you can see the translation, how it compares, how we translated on Kapwing on the first run, and how, the dubbing studio, the original translation studio translated it. Um, I think Kapwing is also, we see that LLMs struggle with slang or with like conversational words. This is from Crash Landing on Me, which is a, show in
Oh, it looks like we will get Julia back in here. All right, there we go. Awesome.
Sorry
You're
about that.
back.
Okay, great. Yeah, so yeah, I was just describing kind of some of the challenges of translating slang or like conversational words that have multiple different meanings. We can improve this by teaching LLMs how to know the full context of the video, and giving them more information from past translations or past dubs that you've done so that the quality is higher.
Yeah. I'm reading
This
in the chat too. We have a question that I think will be a good segue into our last sort of technical challenge topic. So this question is around identifying more. So the question is, will there be a way for dubbing to identify more than one voice on a video? And so this is around identifying different speakers. And so, yes, there is a way to identify in the transcript when different speakers are talking. We have tools on Kapwing to show where the different speakers are speaking in our subtitles or in the dubbing tool. And this is also something that we brought out as a challenge in dubbing, because sometimes the speaker detection is off, and that can look like detecting the wrong number of speakers or the wrong speaker at the wrong time. And for dubbing, that is a larger problem because we are assigning different voices to different speakers. And so if the speaker detection is wrong, the voice will sound off for that section. So right now, Julia is sharing this example where we dubbed this video in English to Chinese, and one of the speakers was off. And so it sounds like one person is speaking when it looks like it should be the other. And yeah, I think the speaker diarization field is really interesting. That's another technology that has gotten so much better, but is still a huge challenge to be able to pick out different speakers in a video or audio asset. And the reason why it's difficult sometimes is that uh, humans naturally change pitch when they're speaking. We talked about this earlier. We sometimes change emotion throughout a video or audio piece. And sometimes that uh, will throw off the speaker detection, um, and sometimes it can be incorrect. And we've been working, on our end on again making that automatic result much better and more accurate, so that we can have these higher quality videos that sound supernatural. And at the same time, it's important for us to be able to provide our users with a way to adjust the speakers if they're off, or add a new speaker, change the voice of the speaker. So you can do all of that on the tool, give ways to be better at assigning different speakers. That's what I would say there. But thanks for the question. And I think that is pretty much sums up that issue there. I'll wait for a second for Julia to join back in. But I guess another solution that I'm thinking of um, around different speakers and being able to correct that is we also have an AI voice tool, which is a separate text to speech tool where you can generate text to speech from any text. So this doesn't have to be from the transcription like it does in the dubbing flow. And so sometimes that is a good way to be able to, adjust a speaker, or add in a different voice to a video there. Um, awesome. I guess while I'm waiting for Julia to join back in, does anyone have any other questions here? We have a couple more topics to cover, but we're pretty much through the bulk of it. I'll give everyone a second. All right, let's see. Okay, well, while Julia is joining back in, I will hop in here. I think we're gonna talk next about um, we're gonna Julia. We just finished chatting about the speaker attribution and multi-speaker handling, and we'll hop into the processing speed section. But do you have anything you wanted to add there?
No, I just wanted to say sorry for the interruption. And I'll go ahead and jump back into sharing here my screen.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay, I see your screen here. Great. Um, Yeah, so as Julia mentioned, we test our dubbing tool with different contractors every week. We're testing around 14 different language pairs, and we have a rubric to score the dubs. And basically, we're looking for scores on synchronization, the quality of the translation, text to speech, and speaker recognition. And so from those scores, we are able to judge sort of how the quality of our tool has grown. This chart is from our first quarter, so January to March, and you can see we're kind of inching up on the quality score. We score the videos out of 5, and yeah, I think one of our big focuses is trying to figure out how we can move the needle faster here, and really make try different things and make these improvements so that our users can enjoy higher quality and spend less time editing their dubs after the generation.
Yeah, and we include this too because some of our customers are thinking about, is now the right time to invest? Like, should I invest now in dubbing or should I wait for it to get better? And so yeah, I think that this is, we it is improving very quickly over time, and I think we're on track to be closer to like 85% quality on the first run by the end of this year. And yeah, it's improving both because of our efforts and because of improvements in the underlying vendors and technologies that we use. Um,
Mhm.
So yeah, I think there's a lot of promising improvements to come here, but it's not we don't think it's going to get to 100% perfect. We think there's always going to be manual corrections and edits that are needed to get it to studio grade quality. And sorry, Catherine, I skipped our performance slide. Let me just get back to
Oh,
that.
no worries. So something else that we are working on and we really value in our platform in general and with the dubbing tool is around the speed. This, as you saw sort of in the beginning when we walked through all of the different steps, this is a really lengthy process and it can take, a long time to go through all of these transcription and translation and text to speech generation steps, but we have been working on improving that. And there are, ways like parallelizing the text to speech generation that can speed that up. We actually parallelize a good amount of the streams in this workflow. And so right now it's taking around 80% of the asset's duration to generate a dub in one language for that asset. And yeah, I think something that we're really proud of on Kapwing is that we do support larger videos. So a user could dub a video up to 2 hours and be able to process that. Now we've worked on making the tool more reliable and faster, and so I think that that will continue to get better as we develop the software and as vendors get faster on their end. Um, but yeah, I think this is an important call out because it is a lengthy process, but AI dubbing tools are meant to help people complete these video translations faster than they could before. And so I think that that is a really important part of the tool.
Cool.
Yeah, this is a peek at our dubbing interface that we wanted to show everyone. I think we will save the demo for another time when we can hear the dubbing video. But I encourage everyone to go and try it out on our site. We offer free users up to 3 minutes to try dubbing, and you can upload a video that's longer than 3 minutes and just see that first section dubbed if you're curious about the quality. But yeah, this is a look into our editor, and we are right now in the Translate tab, which is where you would generate the dub and be able to review your translation even before you add the text to speech voiceover. So yeah, we're happy with this interface, and I think that it's definitely worth a try if you haven't hopped on and tried dubbing already.
Awesome. Yeah, and we just launched the Translate tab, I guess, a few weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago or a month ago. So it's
Yeah.
pretty new and very open to feedback about it. If the users have ideas about how we can make it better for their workflow and how we can make it, more robust to handle some of these dubbing problems that we were covering in this presentation too. Okay, so now I wanted to move on to share some of basically if you want to implement dubbing for your library or for your catalog of videos, um, here's some basically best practices that you should know when thinking about like what vendors to use and how to roll it out. Uh, so yeah, first question here I have, which is how much does AI dubbing cost? So Catherine and I are both very familiar with how complex this question actually is. The simplest answer I can share is that it costs somewhere between 50 cents and $3 per minute. And, that is very low compared to the cost of hiring a translation agency for translating videos. Um, but for us, for example, we hired a translation agency in the past to translate our landing pages, and it costs us, around $10,000 for a single target language. Kapwing is definitely much cheaper than that, and as are other AI dubbing vendors. Of course, 50 cents to $3 can get expensive depending on the volume of video, and you can reduce the cost by committing to more minutes and then getting volume discounts from vendors to to reduce the overall cost of your project. And also, you could consider bringing these technologies in house. Just using something like Kapwing or bringing dubbing in house will give your team more control, and it does save long hours of waiting and iterations with an agency. So it definitely improves turnaround time if you can bring AI dubbing in house. Kapwing costs $350 a month for an enterprise subscription for a team. That's our like minimum base plan on our enterprise plan. You can also purchase self-serve plans by coming to the website to try out dubbing, or for a small volume of video. We have a pro plan that is costs $16 per month built annually. Yeah, so that's how much dubbing costs at a high level. I also put in this table basically the cost of different aspects of the dubbing pipeline relative to each other, like which ones are expensive or not. So this gives other people a sense of where the costs are coming from, like why it costs so much to dub a video. Yeah, anything else to add there, Catherine, in terms of where the costs, like why it costs so much, or where the cost comes for dubbing?
Yeah, no, I think you summed it up well. I do think that we should hopefully see these different costs get cheaper, and we're definitely interested in providing our users with, really good value here. And so, yeah, but I think this is where it's at, and it's definitely way cheaper than hiring an agency or production company to do video translation. So I'm very proud of how our tool and also others have been able to make something that was, used to be very expensive and very time consuming, sort of more affordable and in terms of cost and also time. That's all I'll add there.
Awesome. Yeah, I see someone in the chat saying, "Oh, like I it's hard to use Kapwing for free." Hopefully this slide also explains why it's difficult for us to make Kapwing free. Like we can't offer very much in the free trial because we would just the each of our underlying vendors also cost money. So we um we charge our customers where it also charges the business. We try to make things as close to as cost as possible in a sense. And um, yeah, we are, like Catherine said, we're excited to sort of offer as much value as possible in the subscription. Okay. I also put in here sort of some of the vendors that you might consider using for AI dubbing. Kapwing is obviously on here. We're pretty biased towards thinking that Kapwing has the best dubbing pipeline. But really, our history as an audio and video editor means that we are a step ahead on some of these audio and video timing and speeding technologies because we can really adjust both. We can adjust both audio and video to get the translation and timing better, more realistic. Um, and yeah, but there are other vendors you can look into. I've listed a few of them here. I'll note that YouTube has started offering free AI dubbing, although it does not include voice cloning. But you can use like a stock voice to dub your video into a different language. It also doesn't have any controls after the dub has been processed around pronunciation, timing, some of these other issues we discussed. So it's good for people who want to just try it out or have very low budget, but it probably will be around that like 70% quality. Um, yeah, anything else here, Catherine, to add on competitors, or who are some of your favorite vendors here?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely love 11 Labs. I think that their voice technology is great, and that's something that you can also take advantage of on Kapwing. Um, I think, yeah, these teams that focus 100% on AI dubbing, though they're expensive, it's really interesting to play around with their interfaces too. I do often miss, some of the video editing features that we have, and I'm really used to, editing my videos on Kapwing and having a lot of control over the subtitles. But yeah, it has been really fun as, you know, a product manager going through and looking at these other tools. And I'm definitely impressed by all of the innovation here in this space. I love how easy YouTube is to just add on the dubbing, but I think you covered these sort of pros and cons pretty well.
Awesome. Let's see. So now we've covered some of the major players in AI dubbing. And yeah, wanted to just talk a little bit about kind of the future of AI dubbing. Yeah, could you talk a little bit about what we're working on now, Catherine, and what's coming soon?
Yeah, of course. So hopefully this came out in the chat, but our number one priority around improving our AI dubbing tool is really working on the output quality, and working on how we can automatically get videos translated into another language to sound almost perfect and natural in another language. And so, you know, to do that, we talked a bit about our QA process. And so we're continuing to make different changes and test out those changes with our contractors. And so I'm really hoping to see that videos dubbed on Kapwing have a very natural cadence to the speech. We're able to capture the emotion of the original piece as well as make the translation sound very high quality and natural. So we're really focused on some of these quality pieces that we mentioned and attacking these challenges here. And then in addition to that, we are continuing to work on our user interface to make it more seamless to adjust parts of the translation or correct pronunciation within the tab. And then I think in the horizon, you know, we're definitely considering ways once the quality is really at that 90% to make it easier for users who have, you know, a ton of videos to dub into multiple different languages, making that flow easier. So that's what I'd say, you know, our focuses right now are on, and sort of where we're looking into the future.
Awesome. Yeah, a couple other things I wanted to add on that too is, you know, I think that as the underlying LLMs get better and become more able to incorporate um, audio, video, and text context, we will see the translations get better as at a baseline. So just last week, Meta launched a new model that incorporates both visual and text information simultaneously. So I think we're getting closer to true multimodality and then unified models. And I would expect that by the end of the year, we'll have better, um, quality there. And yeah, as people probably know in this chat, YouTube has been expanding their multi-audio support. So more and more creators can upload multi-audio tracks so that viewers on YouTube can watch their videos in their native language. And I think this rollout is going to also give creators a big incentive to invest in dubbing. And YouTube has said that creators who are doing this, who upload multiple audio tracks, get 16% more reach on their videos because people can watch them in their native language. So I think that this is a great time to be experimenting with AI dubbing um, and to be moving forward with developing your dubbing stack or your dubbing technology. Cool. Okay, well, maybe we can close with a prediction here. So this I wrote, but I think Catherine probably also agrees, which is that, I think that by 2028, AI dubbing will be standard practice for everyone from, in-house marketing teams to YouTube creators to media studios. So I think this is, we're still, at the early stages, but I think AI dubbing is certainly coming for creating studio grade quality across the industry. And I'm excited to see how media companies incorporate these new technologies and hopefully Kapling can be part of the solution too.
Awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, I would definitely agree there. And as I mentioned a ton of times during this conversation, I'm just really excited to see where this technology goes and for more people to discover it and find ways to utilize it for their business or company.
Awesome. Okay, well, thank you all for joining this this webinar. This was Catherine and I's first time doing this together, so we appreciate
Yeah,
you bearing with us through the technical challenges. And yeah, join us in the future for more discussions about video technologies and AI and how creators can navigate the changing world of digital media.
awesome. Thanks everyone for joining and thanks for your questions and more to come here.